again, we kind of left off yesterday, so I asked you to kind of take a look at it. Today I'm going to go through all of the word problems as well. Although the word problems are not difficult, it's just writing things out. All right, and then solving. All right, so let's just review quickly here for question number 6. All right, for question number 6, I have to do what?
Add 4.
Add 4. So you should be able to easily write 2/5 A is less than 6. Then multiply by the reciprocal. Very good. So you would say 5/2 just to make sure. So then you would say A is less than what? 15. All right. If you're less than 15, all right, if you're doing it on a number line, all right, here's 15, here's negative 15. It's an open circle because it's everything less than 15. And then you're going to the what? You're going to the left. Keep in mind, negative infinity is over here, positive infinity is over here. Reading numbers from left to right means you're going from negative infinity to 15. All right.
So is it just whenever something's like less than, it says open circle?
Yes. All right, because remember, it's not including that number. All right, it's everything less than 15. And I tried to talk to you yesterday about what's the first number less than 15?
14.
Yeah, 14.99999. In other words, there isn't one. You're correct. There isn't a first number less than 15. So there's no way to identify what the first number less than 15 is. All right, if it's less than or equal to 15, that's saying that 15 is a solution. So it has to be solved.
Isn't it supposed to be a bracket on the 15?
Why don't you just ask me why it is open instead of a bracket? Instead of thinking you're right. That's part of the problem I'm having. Seriously. You always think you're right. Now, in this case, the bracket, I said multiple times yesterday, and go ahead and write it down. The bracket is for this. If there is an equal to, or use a bracket. Use a parentheses for anything less than or for greater than. All right? Now, moving forward, let's take a look at number 8 real quick. What? 8. Again, we're just adding 10, right? So we end up with 3/4 J is greater than or equal to what? 15. Now we're going to multiply by the what? We're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So 4/3 times 4/3. So J is greater than or equal to what? 20. Perfect. All right. Now, if you still don't understand the interval notation, you should graph the line. I would personally want you to just be able to say if it's greater than or equal to 20, where is it starting at? 20. And then you're going to what? You're going to infinity. Bracket, because it's what? Equal to. I really don't want you having to draw the number line. All right? I want you to be able to say, hey, if I'm greater than or equal to 20, I start at 20 and go to infinity. I'm trying to make that perfectly clear. That's what this is. Starting at 20 and going to infinity. I don't feel like drawing a number line. All right? That's the quickest way to represent that. Does anybody have any issues with that now? James, y'all good now? All right, let's talk about 9. All right, this is a good one because we're dealing with negatives. All right, so let's take a look at question number 9. Subtracting 3, which makes it what? Which makes it negative 12. So now I have negative 2/3 F is less than negative 12. So now I'm going to multiply again by the what?
Reciprocal.
Multiply again by the reciprocal. And when I multiply by the reciprocal, I'm multiplying by a negative, correct? Which means all signs change. All right? Originally it was a negative, so now it's a what? Positive. Originally it was less than, now it's greater than. And then we're just doing negative 12 times negative 3 halves, which is 18. All right? Everybody should be able to tell me that. All right? Yes, ma'am.
So only if it's multiplied by
Only
2?
multiplied. You can say, for example, 3 times negative 4.
That won't change. But
All right?
If
If you're multiplying by a negative, you change. However, right, if it's negative 4 times 2, you're not multiplying by a negative. You with me? Anytime you multiply or divide by a negative, you must change the sign. All right? So now, try to do it without the number line. If f is greater than 18, you start at what? You start at 18, and you head off to what? Infinity. That's where we're at. All right?
So then if 18 is greater than f, would it be negative infinity?
We're not 18. You would say the variable first. You would say the variable first, not 18 greater than f.
So how do you know if it's negative infinity or positive?
Less than. All right, we'll get to one.
Oh.
All right. Number 10. All right. So for question number 10, again, I try to keep the variable positive still. So greater than or equal to, this would be P. Then I'm adding 10, so it would be what? 15. Now again, we don't say 15 is greater than or equal to P. All right? We're going to say what? P is less than or equal to 15. Now again, how do you know if you switch the sign? Here's what I try to tell kids. If 3 is greater than 2, and I switch them, and I'm comparing 2 to 3, I would have to switch the sign. Everybody see what I just did there, right? Right? So if you forget the rules, make up your own little rules. All right? And you can see whether or not you have to flip the sign. All right? So now, if I am less than or equal to 15, where do I start at?
You start at negative.
You start at negative infinity because you're reading what? Left to right. So you're going to go from negative infinity to what? 15, and we're going to do a bracket and parentheses. Yes?
What happens to P? Like 2P and 2.
What's 3p minus 2p?
Oh.
1, right? So what I did was, just to make sure you're with me, I did minus 2p minus 2p. All right? Plus 10 and plus 10. Yes, good. You don't understand why I changed the sign from here?
Yeah.
Right there?
Yeah.
Right here is the explanation. Do you agree 3 is greater than 2?
Yeah.
So now, when you want to switch them around and compare 2 to 3, you then would say what? 2 is, do you understand what I'm trying to show you or not? Look right here. So, I'll give you another example. We can say 5 is greater than negative 6. Do you agree with that? Now let's say I was wanting to compare negative 6 to 5. So when you reverse the order here, you have to reverse the sign here. Okay? All right, let's take a look at number 11. Again, practicing your mental math. We have what?
You would
Come on.
2K.
Just tell me. 6k is what? Greater than?
Or negative 12.
6k is greater than negative 12. Everybody good with that? And so now we would say k is what? K is greater than negative 2. Very happy with that explanation? All right. Now notice I didn't change the sign, right? Because I'm dividing by a positive. All right. So now if I'm greater than negative 2, I would be at, starting at, and heading off to. So everybody agree that's kind of easy, right? Right. So if you're good at solving equations, this is really easy. There's just an extra rule that you have to learn. All right. If you're not good at solving equations, this is kind of fixing that problem. All right? But again, remember I told some of you, I can't help you if you're not talking and you're not wanting to, ask me a question. All right, good.
I'm just confused on why you switched the less than greater than for 10, but you didn't do it for 11.
Okay, because the variable was already in the right spot on 10, on 11, I'm sorry. Look right here. So right now, the variable is not in the right spot. You have to say the variable first.
Oh, okay.
You with me?
Mm-hmm.
The variable is first in this one,
Oh, okay.
right? All right, let's take a look now at 12. I would like everybody now, let's just do this mentally. Everybody look up. What can I do first?
Divide by 2.
Divide by 2, which makes it
Negative 14.
negative 14. Is everybody agreeing?
Yeah.
And then what?
You add 5.
Add 5, which makes it
9. Negative 9.
negative 9. Think for yourself now. Don't let somebody else influence you. Everybody agree it's negative 9. And then I'm going to do what? Divide by negative 3, which means I have to change the signs. So listen. So I know that m is what? Less than or equal to 3. Now, what I'd like for you to do is just take a second here and do that on your own. Right? In your head, look at the problem and say, hey, I would divide by 2. Say to yourself what the answer is. Then you would say, I add 5. Say what the answer is. Then I would divide by negative 3 and say what the answer is. And see if you agree. Right? What I'm trying to show you is you have to do it yourself. You have to do it yourself. And eventually you'll get better at it. And it should be simple. Everybody in here can divide by 2, add 5, and divide by 3. The only mistake kids make is they forget to do what to the sign? Change the sign because you divided by a negative. The sign changed because you divided by a negative. All right, listen. If you can do that, honestly, regardless of what your grade is, you're in pretty good shape. That means you're good with numbers. You now have to just learn the rules of the material. That's it. All right, that's the most important thing, being good with numbers. If you can be good with numbers, you can be taught the math. All right, but if you're looking there going, I have no idea what he's doing, we're in a lot of trouble. So let's fix it.
So when you change the signs, do you do it for the number that's being divided from?
Yes. You're whenever you divide by a negative, you change the signs. In other words, whenever the variable is negative. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right. So now, if I'm less than or equal to 3, if I'm in interval notation, that would be what? Negative infinity to 3, and I'd have a bracket. All right, I'm pretty good with that. That's not that hard now. All right. The Inequalities is a nice, easy chapter to get your grade back up. All right, but you have to do the work. All right, if you practice the problems, the test's going to be easy. All right, here we go with 13. Now, in this case, I don't really see something that simple, so I think we should just go ahead and distribute. All right? When we distribute,
Negative 6w minus 6 is less than 2w plus 10.
perfect. Come on, speak up now. All right. Now, for me, I still like to make the variables positive. So 8w,
equals negative 6.
good.
That is less.
It's all right, you're good. And then what? Divide by 8.
It's w less than negative 2.
Is everybody happy with that? Right. And I didn't change the sign because I didn't divide by a negative. Now, here's where we had some issues, so make sure you understand. I got to write the variable first, so it would be what?
W is greater than negative 2.
Now, listen to me. This, to me, was hard to understand. If negative 2 is less than W, if negative 2 is less than W, then that means W has to be what? Greater than negative 2. Does that make sense? All right. So now greater than negative 2 be written in interval notation as what? Negative 2 to,
to
wow. Once you see it, it's very easy. All right, but if you're not seeing it, we can't go forward. Yes.
Why did you switch the sign?
From here to here.
Yeah.
Same reason we did it here, right? And the same reason we did it here. All right. You put the variable first. You with me? Listen, and one more time. Look, do you agree 5 is greater than negative 6?
Yeah.
So if I compare negative 6 to 5, I did what to the signs? Yes.
But like, why would you have to switch?
Well, honestly, if for me, I don't. You don't really. But if I said negative 2 is less than W, how would you graph that? The reason I make kids switch it is because this seems like this symbol is less than, right?
Yeah.
So do you understand what I'm saying? Negative 2 is less than W. So what can you tell me about W? That's where most people make their mistake. That's not true. Think of it like this. I'm sitting on a number line. Here's negative 2. If negative 2 is less than W, where does W go? To the right or to the left? That would make W less than negative 2. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. Just let me. This is a good explanation. This is a good explanation. All right. So here's my number line. If I have negative 2 right here, and I tell you that negative 2 is less than W, would I put W on the right side or would I put W on the left side? Yes. There you go. I would put W over here, right? So what does that mean about W? That's why. Go ahead.
But you switched it, but it's still like the same.
Yeah, there's no difference, right? Negative 2 is less than W means the same thing as W is greater than negative 2. But I'm just simply telling you that most kids don't understand. When you read less than, it seems like what? It should be going less than.
Yeah, because like we were taught like up until now that if it's going that way, that means the number. Like
I know, that's why I argue with math teachers all the time about it. They shouldn't teach kids that way because it messes you up in my class. You should understand what less than means and what greater than means, not the alligator eating the biggest number. That messes you up when you get to advanced math. It doesn't make sense then. All right, that's what's confusing. That's why I'm trying to tell you. All right, if you know, and I really think this is a good example of exactly the way it should be taught. All right, if you want to say negative 2 is less than W, in my mind, I don't see that as well as I see W is greater than negative 2. If somebody says W is greater than negative 2, I immediately look at this and say that's obvious answer. But if I say negative 2 is less than W, what does that number line look like? It's the same number line. Exactly the same. It just doesn't appear that way. That's why I tell kids that they should write the variable first. But some people I know can look at that and say, obviously that's the answer. I'm listening now. Yeah, it is. All it is. It's not wrong. If you left it is negative 2 is less than W, I would still give you credit for it. Right. It's just easier to interpret. All right. It's much easier to interpret. All right. So now let's do mental math on 14. So we're going to do what first?
divide by 2.
Well, we could divide by 2 actually, but let's just go ahead and subtract 6. So that makes it what?
Negative 16.
And then divide by 2, which makes it, and then you add 3, so it's
Negative
negative 5. All right, so now you're going to say Q. Do we have to change the sign? No. Less than or equal to what? Negative 5. Q is less than or equal to negative 5. Is everybody good on that? All right, so now we have what?
So it's negative 5.
Right. Now, listen, as I'm trying to have all my parent conferences now with all the parents that kids who are some of you guys are not doing what you should be doing. Right? I tell them, if you don't communicate with me, I don't know. I can't walk around the room and pat you on the back. Sorry. You should be brave enough to say, look, man, I don't know what you're doing. No one cares in here. No one walks out the door and says, wow, he didn't know anything. Wow, that was a stupid question. No one does that because no one cares about you. All right? You are fighting for your own grade. Right? You're the one who wants to get into the other private schools. All right? This is directly affecting that. I write recommendations, and I can write on there, yes, you work really hard, man. You would be an asset to the school, even if you made a B in math class, and you would get in. But if you don't ever participate, I can't write that. What?
So say you just, like, I know you can do this easily and messy, but, like, if you just distribute it to, it's like the same.
It's the same exact answer. You want me to show you?
Yeah.
You want me to show you it's the same? All right, so let me show you it's the same. So if I distribute the 2, it's 2q minus 6 plus 6 is less than or equal to negative 10, right? And then what happens to the negative 6 and the positive 6? So 2q is less than or equal to negative 10. There you have it, same answer. You good on that? Most people make mistake distributing. All right? Anybody have any issues now? All right. Now, don't think the word problems are harder. It's really not. All right, it's really not. All right, so let's take a look at it. 4 more than means what? Plus 4. That's what you should be saying. Not 4 plus. Plus 4. Quotient means we're doing what? Dividing a number and 3. And that is what? At least 9. If you have at least $9 in your pocket, that means what? Yes, greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. At least. Right? If I have at least $9 in my pocket, that means I have 9 or more. And that's how I used to figure all this stuff out. Relate it to money. It makes a big difference. All right? Greater than or equal to what? 9. All right? Now, let's just mentally go through this real quick, guys. So what do I have to do first? Subtract 4, which makes it, and then, which makes it, so n is greater than or equal to 15. You don't even have to do the interval notation. All right? Go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh, never mind.
Good. Sandra, you good? And it's okay, come on.
What would it be if there wasn't a log
Under the 3?
It would just be no bracket.
Yeah. So if I'm doing greater than or equal to 15, it would be bracket 15 to infinity. All right?
Well, we don't need to push that.
Yeah, you don't need to put that right now. I want to get to the end. All right, number 16. All right, here we go. The sum of a number and 14. How do I write that? N plus 14. The sum of a number and 14 is less than or equal to, that symbol, right? Less than or equal to what? 3n. Perfect, guys. And again, we're practicing our mental math, so move the what? So it would be
14
is less than or equal to what? 2n. And then what? Divide by 2, so 7 is less than or equal to n. Switch the sign. So n is greater than or equal to what? 7.
But you have to do that.
Here, listen, I know for a fact that on standardized tests, that's the answer. So I always try to teach to the standardized test to get you prepared for that. All right? No standardized test leaves it as 7 is less than or equal to n.
I have a question on one of those.
Good, come on.
I don't know how you got 15.
So I've subtracted 4, good for you. And what's 9 minus 4? And now you undo division with multiplication.
Oh, okay.
Right, here we go. Let's take a look at 17. So, negative 3 times a number, negative 3n. increased by 7
plus 7.
is less than negative 11.
Right.
Here we go, guys. Connor, I want it all written down. Not following me. All right. Now from there I do what? So negative 3n is less than, and then, which makes n
6.
Negative.
greater than.
6.
And again, that's your mistake that most kids make. They forget to switch the signs on positives and negatives. And that's generally on standardized tests. The negative is usually the one that's on the test because they know kids forget. Whenever you multiply or divide by negative, you have to switch the sign. Whenever you multiply or divide by negative, you have to switch the sign.
So before, if you say 4 times negative 2, you switch it.
Yes,
But if you say negative 4 times 2,
that's right.
okay.
Exactly. Quick, come on.
But why would it the 6 stay?
Because a negative divided by a negative is a... But listen, here's the other thing I used to tell my kids. If you divide by a negative, switch all signs. Switch all signs. What does that mean? This negative becomes a what? This less than becomes a... This negative becomes a... That's what that means. Change all signs. Change all signs. All right, here we go. On number 18. All right, here we go. It says 5 times a number decreased by 8. What is that? 5n minus 8. Good guys. 5n minus 8. Now, again, if I have at most $10 in my pocket,
Oh, less than.
less than or equal to. But again, most people put what? Greater than. Because most or more, it seems like. If I have at most, think about money. I've got at most $10 in my pocket. All right? That means it has to be less than or equal to what?
2n plus 10.
Yes, 10 more than twice a number. So I got to finish reading. So it'd be 2n plus 10. All right? So now let's move the variable and move the constant. Come on. Good job. So I want everybody to say 3n less than or equal to 18.
So n is less than or equal to 6.
Yes. N is less than or equal to 6. Reagan, you good? All right. Mary Ellen?
Like for this, it'd be negative. Right?
Yes. Perfect. Perfect. That's what you're thinking of. You're going less than, that means you're starting at what? Negative infinity and going up to that number. Bless you. All right. Here we go, guys. 7 more than is what? Plus 7. And then 5/6 of a number. 5/6n, yes. Is more than negative 3. Is everybody happy with that? All right, that's it. And now we do what?
Minus
Subtract 7. So I have 5, 6x, negative 10.
They multiply by 30.
Yep.
Yeah,
Multiply by the reciprocal. All right, and so greater than, thank you. I don't care what letter you use, you know that. X is greater than negative 12. Is everybody with me? Yes, ma'am.
I thought you switch it against to multiplying by.
Good, say it. Multiply by what? Multiply, you switch the signs when you multiply by a, is that a negative? No. Good, good, good. Make your mistakes now. All right, now I want to underline this because here's the problem that's on most standardized tests. 5 times the sum. If you remember, when there's, thank you, when you see 2 operations in a row, that means it requires a what? Parentheses. Yes. So I have this. I have 4 times. Now, the sum of a number
n plus 2.
increased by 3
Plus 3.
is at least,
So greater than or equal to.
right, greater than or equal to. Now, I'm telling you, it's hard to memorize all those rules. That's what I'm saying. Think about money. If I have at least $27 in my pocket, that means I have 27 or more. Right? So now this is a good number to do mentally. So I can do what first? Minus 3, which makes it. Then what? Which makes it. And then, which makes it.
-4.
Come on now. You guys stuttered on that one, so let's start it again. 27. Then you subtract 3, you get what?
24.
Then divided by 4. And then,
-2.
which? 4. Perfect. Perfect. And it's greater than or equal to 4. All right, is everybody with me?
Yep.
Okay, so now I've thought about a lot about what I want to do. All right, and here is what I want to do. There's a very limited number of grades. All right, this quarter because we have Thanksgiving, which makes things a mess, right? We have Christmas, which makes things a mess, and then we have exams, and then we have exam review. So I'm being killed on days, all right? And I know some of you guys didn't do as well as you wanted to do, and I'm trying to help, right? But I can't help you unless you help yourself, all right? Now, I kind of want to give you a quiz, right? But I kind of want it to be kind of like a take-home quiz, all right? And what that means is this, all right? The next worksheet, all right, you're going to do it on Notability and then somehow print it out to me. All right, I don't want you to send it to me. It's too much work for me. Is everybody with me? All right, so you're going to do it on Notability and then print it out at home or come to school and print it out at the school, and then I'm going to grade it like a quiz. All right, now, when I grade something like a quiz, what that means is that I'm expecting you to show all your work on there. All right. Now again, all right. I am doing this because I expect you to do the work. All right. And what I mean by that is, I don't want you just to sit with your neighbor and work together and get the right answers. Do you understand what I'm saying? I want you, when you hand in your paper, to say, I know how to do all this. That's what I want. All right? And so I know when we hand in the homework, I walk around and, most of the time I don't really check the homework that well, right? But I just look to see if you're working. All right? But I want to give you an opportunity to do better. All right? So that means tonight's homework, do it on Notability, print it out at home if you can, and I'm going to grade it. And I expect them all to be what? I expect them all to be hundreds. But that also means you got to understand how to do the work, right? Now, if you do the work and you compare your work with your neighbor and you both have different answers for number 3, can you look and see who's right and who's wrong and fix it? That's how you learn. All right? You don't learn by saying, wow, I didn't do my homework, so let me copy yours. That's a lot of trouble. All right? Does everybody understand what I'm saying? All right? So again, I'm giving you an opportunity to have a little extra grade in here. I want it to be more than homework, and my only other option is to make it a quiz. All right? And it should really help out your grade. All right? But I want a fantastic job. All right? I want a fantastic job. All right? So what I want to do now is I'm going to tell you exactly how I want it done. All right? So, all right. So, in this, right up here, number 1 and 2, directions. Graph and write in interval notation. Everybody with me? So, I want you to graph it, then I want you to write it in interval notation. All right, so there's 2. After that, I don't care about the graph anymore. I care about just what? Interval notation. All right? So 3 through 11 will be done with what? Interval notation. Now, if you have to write the graph, and I used to have to write the graph until I really understood numbers, then write the graph. You can have the graph on there also, because I think that's helpful. But some of you guys who understand it don't need that. And then what? And then down here on 12 through 15, all you have to do is solve the problem. All right? All you have to do is solve the problem. I don't need interval notation, and I don't need what? I don't need a graph, because that's just what we did on 15 through 20. So everybody with me now? Now I mean it, guys. I don't ever do this. All right? But I feel like you have paid attention for 2 solid days, and I have a feeling you're in pretty good shape with this material. All right? So that's what I want. All right? You can't come to me tomorrow crying about you can't print it out. All right? So if you don't know how to print it out, you can email it to your parents, and your parents can print it out. Does everybody understand that? Right? If you want to get here early because something happens, you can do it early in the morning. But when you walk in the door, I want them. All right? And I'm going to grade it, and I'm going to give everybody 100. All right? If it's all what? It's all right. That's the way it should be. All right? That's the way it should be. Quickly.
I'm confused on how you got any
Greater than or equal to 4 here, you mean? You ready?
Mhm.
So what do I do first?
you love
This is a what, kiddo?
it. Also subtract it.
Yes. And what do I get? And then what? Uh-huh. And make it plus. And then
Oh, you do that.
not divide. You said divide. You meant subtract, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Don't take my word for it now. If you don't see it, I'll go back. Let me say it again. So, what do I do with plus 3?
You should make it subtract. You subtract, so it's 24.
Right,
Divide
then,
by 4,
which
6.
is, and then,
Multiply that.
now you're left with all this. Hold up, let me erase this. That's what you're left with. So now what?
6 minus 2 is 4.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right? Exactly. All right, guys, get to work. We still have 7 or 8 minutes, so you can kind of work this out, make sure it's done perfectly. I don't want slop either. If I have a hard time